Happy holidays, everybody, and Tony here with my review of Donizetti's Lucia di Lammermoor with conductor Ivan Repusic, which I saw at the Deutsche Oper Berlin. This marks the 8th time I saw Filippo Sagnust's production of Donizetti's Lucia di Lammermoor at the Deutsche Oper Berlin because I wanted to see, hear, and witness Adela Zaharia and Long perform the roles of Lucia and Edgardo, aka the titular tragic lovers of Lucia di Lammermoor, respectively. As a collaborative pair who portrayed the lovers, they were able to do such amazing vocal work together. This is all thanks to Adela Zaharia's pristine, silvery, creamy, rich, and absolutely effortless lyric coloratura soprano voice soaring above the orchestra, combined with Long's sturdy, strong, formidable, and totally handsome full lyric tenor, making a strong impression on me as Edgardo. Together, they were able to do so magnificently well in their duet, Verranno a te, in which their voices blended in such a heavenly manner and were able to sing with all of their heart, mind, and soul, and managed to pour out clarion tones together. And they were also able to stand superbly well on their own in the sextet, Chi mi frena in tal momento, which then leads to the cabaletta Ta lontana sciagurato. There was not one moment where I felt totally bored with Adela Zaharia and Long as Lucia and Edgardo respectively, because they were thoroughly disciplined singing actors and they were able to use their technical prowess to the best of their abilities and make magnificent music together, all thanks to their formidable discipline, peerless musicianship, and thorough consistency as singing actors with sufficiently secure techniques and a whole lot of charisma that made both Adela Zaharia and Long thoroughly capable, let alone palpable, as the tragic lover duo of Lucia Ashton and Edgardo Ravenswood. Individually, both of them were absolutely amazing. Starting off with Adela Zaharia as the titular heroine, Lucia Ashton, it's no surprise that she's been singing this role throughout many of the international opera houses from Europe to the Americas and managed to find a whole lot of success singing Lucia Ashton in various productions and what almost feels like over a decade. She's been such a veteran in this role that she continues to find a lot of fabulous nuances as well as a whole lot of shading to make her voice thoroughly shine. She is at her strongest when she hits those top notes. And every time she opens up her mouth to hit those high Ds, high D flats, and high E flats, it almost felt like she was launching darts and daggers from her mouth. Totally silvery, made of stainless steel, and thoroughly sharp to the touch. That is just how effortless Adela Zaharia's high notes truly are, and I continue to love the timbre of her voice. It's a creamy, rich, mellow, and round timbre that I love in many a coloratura soprano, let alone a lyric coloratura soprano or a dramatic coloratura soprano. As I stated before in my review of her performance as Violetta Valerie from La Traviata, also at the Deutsche Oper Berlin, she is also one of the sopranos who eschews being one of those peaky chirpers, as well as the soprani leggeri who constantly use excessive picchettati. And what she has at her disposal is a homogeneous, creamy, rich, round, velvety, lyric coloratura soprano voice that has the round color of a full lyric soprano, as well as some of the fine acting chops of a genuine dramatic coloratura soprano, especially in some of her most intense moments. While I do continue to love the timbre of her voice and continue to be in total awe of how she hits those high notes with ease and a whole lot of effortlessness, there were times that I felt like she was still giving into some of the bad habits of not being thoroughly committed to her chest tones. Don't get me wrong, I still love that wonderfully large size that has defined Adela Zaharia as a superb singer, let alone as a superb singing actress. After all, she not only sang the part of Lucia so well, but she was also able to convince me, let alone continue to convince me, that Lucia is a young woman not only in love, but almost about to be on the verge of a mental breakdown, considering that she is a victim of total circumstance. However, this minuscule Achilles heel is something that should never be ignored because her chest tones are what Adela Zaharia needs to consistently improve on, let alone constantly strengthen. It says a lot when old school coloratura sopranos such as Luisa Tetrazzini, Maria Barrientos, Mercedes Capsir, Elvira de Hidalgo, Maria Galvani, Josefina Uguet, Graciela Pareto, Amelita Galicurci, Dolores Wilson, and Toti Dal Monte had way more coordinated chest tones and used those chest tones to their advantage, especially to bring out a lot of Lucia's more emotionally charged up moments. It also says a lot when genuine dramatic coloratura sopranos such as Maria Callas, Joan Sutherland, Christina Deutecom, Eda Moza, Rita Shane, and Ursula Kossuth also had strong chest tones, especially where the great Maria Callas was concerned, that also made them thoroughly convincing as Lucia. And I dare not forget about Margareta Ziems, who was also well known as being the first Chrysothemis from Elektra, the Marschallin from Rosenkavalier, and even the first Zerbinetta from Ariadne auf Naxos because of how well she was able to coordinate head voice and chest voice. And let's not forget about Frida Hempel. She also had great chest tones aside from her wonderful high notes. And if we're also looking at lyric coloratura sopranos who also had wonderful chest tones aside from blazing top notes, look no further than the likes of Anna Moffo, who was not only my personal favorite Lucia, but in my opinion is what defines the complete package, both in terms of her artistry as well as her vocalism, let alone her overall magic as a consummate musician. Colette Bocchi, Jeanette Scavati, Patricia Wise, Faye Robinson, Karin Ott, although she can also do dramatic coloratura soprano roles like the Queen of the Night and the occasional lyric soprano role like Mimi, and Gail Robinson. And even though some people might be divided with these two singers, one cannot go wrong with Beverly Stills and Roberta Peters, who not only had their wonderful top notes that also extended to a high F, let alone beyond a high F, but also had some decent chest tones from time to time. However, when it comes to the total package, you can't go wrong with Luisa Tetrazzini, Maria Barrientos, Anna Moffo, Maria Callas, Christina Deutecom, Rita Shane, and Toti da Monte because they all had great coordinated chest tones aside from those wonderfully stratospheric high notes. So that is one aspect that I would love for Adela Zaharia to continue to work on if she is to make her voice truly glow with color and charisma, let alone increase in a whole lot of stability, because her career has been getting a lot stronger and stronger with every new role that she's been taking and with every role that she continues to take thus far. Therefore, it makes total sense for Adela Zaharia to continue to develop her chest tones, use her chest tones, continue to develop her core, and take great advantage of those low notes, let alone chest tones, so that her voice can truly shine with further strength, a whole lot more formidability, and a whole lot more technical security. She continues to sell it with everything that she has been doing thus far, and I never want to see Adela Zaharia's star fade away because she is a shining star. She has proven herself to be a thoroughly consistent and a thoroughly consummate musician and a singing actress who has managed to let her voice ring throughout the theater and used that silvery, velvety, and creamy sounding voice of hers to make her lyric coloratura soprano notes just shine with ease and abandon. So I still have to salute Adela Zaharia for what she was able to accomplish as Lucia Ashton, all thanks to her superb musicianship and her thorough dedication as a singing actress. Long Long is a tenor who is rather new to me. I've been following his career for quite some time, but never really heard his voice live. When he started out, he seemed to specialize in a lot of the light lyric tenor roles before transitioning to fuller lyric tenor roles. He kind of started out with roles such as Tamino from Die Zauberflöte and Almaviva from Il Barbiere di Siviglia, just to name a few roles that he has done in his younger years. And nowadays, he's taken a lot more of the full lyric tenor roles, and as I heard him live, I was thoroughly impressed with the quality of his voice. There was no wobble, there was no tremolo, no caprino, nothing that held him back. It was flawless singing overall and technically secure singing at that. He was able to make his full lyric tenor voice just radiate so beautifully with pure abandon and sheer formidability that I was in awe of what Mr. Long had to accomplish. When listening to his voice, it sounded like an amalgamation of Giuseppe Di Stefano during his younger years, especially in his prime in the 1950s, Placido Domingo when he was still a lovely and absolutely gorgeous sounding full lyric tenor during the 1960s and early 1970s, and the young Roberto Alagna, who was still true to his lyric tenor roots, let alone his light lyric tenor roots, because of that glowing timbre that he had. And that was reflected with Long Long as Edgardo Ravenswood. He had that timbre that glowed so beautifully and radiantly, and he had a voice that could manage to hit those notes with a whole lot of elan and bravery. He also exercised abundant charisma and confidence that made him totally up there with the likes of Giacinto Prandelli, Ferruccio Tagliavini, Giuseppe Di Stefano, who I'll still argue is my personal favorite Edgardo of all time, Beniamino Gigli, Enzo de Muro Lomanto, Gianni Poggi, and Carlo Bergonzi, just to name a few. That Italianate technique that Long Long had was thoroughly pleasing to the ear, and he knew how to let his voice radiate with pure abandon and let it glow and grow with a whole lot of charisma, lots of confidence, and pure abandon that made me thoroughly excited to see him every time he graced the stage. That was just how awesome Long Long was as a singing actor, and I would love to hear him in a lot more roles such as Hoffmann from Tales of Hoffmann or Le Comte Hoffmann, Péléas from Péléas et Mélisande, Wilhelm Meister from Mignon, Learte from Hamlet, Jean de Ledin from Le Prophète, Georges from L'Étoile du Nord, Léopold from La Juive, Ruggero Lastuc from La Rondine, Roberto from Le Villi, Corrado from Il Corsaro, and Chamorro from Alzira, just to name a few roles that I could envision him in. He definitely has a fine and glowing and absolutely brilliant Italianate tenor voice that made him brilliant, charismatic, and totally charming to watch on stage. He was able to make me thoroughly hooked into his performance as Edgardo Ravenswood, complete with nobility, style, confidence, and absolutely romantic heroism. I could never take my eyes and ears off of Long Long as Edgardo. He was thoroughly superb, and therefore he won me over tonight as Edgardo Ravenswood, thanks to his technical prowess and his great discipline as a wonderful singing actor, complete with great security and wonderful high notes to be coupled with those equally great covered notes, which he managed to accomplish exceedingly well. Dean Murphy continues to grow with charisma, confidence, and virility as Enrico Ashton. He was consistently strong all the way through, and I continue to salute all of his laudable efforts at making Lucia's older brother come to life. So was Gerard Ferreras as Raimondo Bideved. He too continued to grow in a lot of virility and strength. In fact, I would even encourage him to find great inspiration from the likes of Salvatore Baccaloni, Italo Tayo, Samuel Raimi, and Justino Diaz when it comes to proper chiaroscuro, especially when it comes to being a basso cantante or a bass baritone, because Gerard Ferreras' material is absolutely awesome, and I would love to keep on seeing him develop his voice in the best possible way, let alone maintain its richness and roundness, because he's got a lot going for him, and I mean a lot. He continues to exercise diligence, strength, and a whole lot of confidence. So I also salute Gerard Ferreras for what he has been doing, let alone accomplishing, as Raimondo Bidevent. Thomas Chilufo was laudable as Lord Arturo Bucklaw. His light lyric tenor voice shone with confidence, and he also acted the part with a lot of swagger and handsomeness. I could never take my eyes off of Mr. Chilufo as Arturo Bucklaw, both when it comes to his light lyric tenor voice that I always argue still maintained that wonderful bel canto tradition of excellent singing that made him shine and absolutely brilliant and one of the best tenors to look out for today in the most exciting way possible, thus also making his characterization of Arturo Bucklaw thoroughly excellent. And of course, the wonderful efforts done by Jörg Schörner's characterful and charming Normanno and Karis Tucker's creamy-toned and velvety Alisa. Therefore, all the singing was thoroughly excellent and exceedingly outstanding. I also have to give props to Robert Lerch on the flute and Marion Ravot on the harp for doing excellent jobs in their instruments and for also bolstering the entire performance from beginning to end, especially when it comes to Mr. Lerch's flute playing in the mad scene and Marion Ravot's harp playing during the opening of Lucia's first act aria. And when it comes to the singers, Adela Zaharia was able to ride on that golden chariot of excellence and outstanding musicianship, all thanks to how she was able to characterize Lucia as someone who is on the verge of an emotional breakdown, but still maintains that composure of a young aristocratic woman, even when she goes insane to her death. And despite that tiny Achilles heel of not being too committed to her chest tones, let alone thoroughly committed to those said chest tones, at least Adela Zaharia had an exciting voice that managed to be full of velvety tones, wonderful high notes that managed to spin themselves throughout the orchestra, and a whole lot of elegance that made her performance as Lucia a thorough standout. Joining alongside her in this revelry of excellence was Long as Edgardo, whose sturdiness and performing strength made him thoroughly engaging and wonderfully charismatic as Edgardo. He was a fine pair to Adela Zaharia's silvery and absolutely golden way of singing her notes, as well as launching at some dagger-like and dart-like top notes that made her thrilling to witness, while Long is thoroughly reliable as a musician, all thanks to his great discipline and his overall charisma. Therefore, they were able to work well off of each other. The contributions made by Dean Murphy, Gerard Ferreras, Thomas Chalufo, Jörg Schörner, and Karis Tucker could never be denied. Everybody was excellent and were all at their A game, and they were able to bring down the house tonight with such great artistry, and I salute each and every one of them. The conducting done by Ivan Repusic was absolutely brilliant. He did take advantage of the big moments. He also used some nuances in the slightly somber moments, and he was able to tease out some moments that also made the orchestra playing thoroughly exciting to listen to and also balanced. Therefore, Maestro Repusic managed to do a thorough job in leading the orchestra and chorus of the Deutsche Oper Berlin. And what more can you say about the chorus and the orchestra of the Deutsche Oper Berlin? Everybody was a pro, and they were able to bolster the performance with their great artistry and wonderful sense of teamwork. So with Adela Zaharia and Long Long making absolutely wonderful music together as the tragic lover duo of Lucia and Edgardo, they were able to steal the show tonight from everybody's feet. Combining Adela Zaharia's silvery, velvety, and thoroughly gorgeous and elegant lyric coloratura soprano voice that also has the roundness and richness of a full lyric soprano who could also be capable of doing some dramatic coloratura soprano roles, complete with a lot of pristineness and charm, and with having Long having his sturdiness, strength, and overall charisma by his side as a full lyric tenor singing Edgardo. Both of them were in their absolutely wonderful A game tonight. And I wish them a lot of great success, thriving in a whole lot of roles that they continue to take in, as well as roles that they might end up conquering in the near future. And for those of you who caught Donizetti's Lucia di Lammermoor at the Deutsche Oper Berlin, what'd you think of it? Did you feel that Adela Zaharia and Long were able to do magnificent work as the tragic lover duo of Lucia and Edgardo respectively? Did you feel that Adela Zaharia as Lucia was able to sing a whole lot better than Long as Edgardo? Or do you also feel like this was the other way around? Was there another singer who stole their thunder, especially from the pivotal roles, whether it be Dean Murphy as Enrico or Gerard Ferreras as Raimondo, or even from the smaller roles such as Thomas Chalufo as Arturo, Jörg Schörner as Normanno, and Karis Tucker as Alisa? Or do you feel like the singing was not really to your liking? Please let me know in the comments below. Well, that's it for my review of Donizetti's Lucia di Lammermoor, starring Adela Zaharia as Lucia and Long as Edgardo. Tune in tomorrow for my review of Mozart's Die Zauberflöte, also at the Deutsche Oper Berlin, starring Andrei Danilov as Tamino. So until then, happy holidays, everybody!